History has been made at the Oval. Everyone had tuned in to what was happening at this test. India winning the Oval thriller. Of course, one Mohammad Siraj is one name that continued, especially with regard to how the match unfolded. I want to immediately bring in our sports editor Nikhil Naz for the latest. Nikhil, that's one name that I can see all over social media with others as well. So just take us through in case some of us who may have missed the highlights and while we were watching, what exactly happened in the match?
Well, Pooja, apologies. I could not really listen to your
Yes.
question, but I got the last bit, and I'll tell you why that is the case. Because everyone here in the newsroom is so excited; they want to know everything that is there that happened in that Test match. But yes, for the benefit of our viewers, this will go down in history as as one of the finest wins that India has achieved in overseas conditions. Remember, whenever India travels abroad, it's not very easy for them to be winning test matches.
But also, what a moment for Shubman Gill.
That's right. Pooja, if I had to now look at two standout performers for India, I think you've taken the name of both of them. One, of course, is Mohammad Siraj, and I think the man who gave it his all, picking up 4 wickets and a 5-wicket haul in the second inning, 4 wickets in the first inning, and for him to take the final wicket of the match as well, I think was befitting the way this particular exciting test match ended. But yeah, Shubman Gill as well broke multiple records. 700 runs to get in an overseas series is something that we've only seen a handful of times in the history of test cricket. So in terms of anything that you look at, this Indian cricket team has exceeded expectations even of their staunchest of supporters. Why do I say that? And many that might be seeing our broadcast might say that, listen, at the end of the day, it is just 2-all. Why is it being celebrated as if India has won the series? And I think that's primarily because India have managed to tie this series from the brink, from a situation where they were all but out. Nobody gave them a chance. 3-1 was within touching distance of England. They needed 60 odd, 6 wickets in hand. From there, the Indian team to win with a margin of 8 runs. I think absolutely incredible. One of the finest test series that we've seen India play overseas.
I can surely tell you that even in our newsroom, there was this applause and appreciation that had come in the moment India, as we are saying, won the Oval Test. As Nikhil continues to be with us, Nikhil, right when the Test match was going on, all these matches, there was also this rhetoric coming in that senior players, the ones who are not playing, were being missed. And because this is a fairly young team, you tell me, what was, do you think, that key takeaway moment when this face-off, so to say, turned into India's favour?
I think it was the final session. Pooja, you're right, absolutely right. See, and that tends to happen every time the Indian team is a bit down, it's trailing in a match or a series. We tend to miss players that are not part of the setup. But I think it was the right time overall for the Indian team to be looking ahead, to look beyond some of the stalwarts that they had, and they invested their fortunes in a very young transitional team. But yes, when this team was facing its toughest moments throughout this series, they found a way to step up. And what's been the beauty of this team is that on different occasions, there's been a different player. If it is Ravindra Jadeja with the bat in certain matches, it's been Washington Sundar with the bat and the ball in certain games. Shubman Gill has stepped up. Yashasvi Jaiswal, KL Rahul, Mohammad Siraj, Prasidh Krishna. I can go on about players that have different parts of this 5 test match series. Imagine it's a 5 test match series and it is about 25 days of cricket. So you've had somebody or the other really step up. But if I just pinpoint about what really changed in this test match, I think that final session that was to start, they needed about 60 odd runs, England, to win with 6 wickets in hand. And you thought that there was no way India was going to win it from there. But I think what the Indian bowlers in Prasidh Krishna and Mohammad Siraj did in that final session, the ball started doing stuff and they picked up few crucial wickets off Jacob Bethel. And then the biggest wicket, I'd say, of this match of Joe Root, I think those 2 wickets that came in that final session, I think that completely changed the test match. Even then, England may have been favourite when they came out to bat today, but you knew that top players and the players that could have taken to a safe situation and a winning situation were back in the hut. And I'll put it down to the heart that was shown by your two fast bowlers, led by Mohammad Siraj and also to an extent Prasidh Krishna. Imagine
correct.
having played this 5 test match series, Mohammad Siraj, the only bowler across both teams to have played all 5 test matches, he's bowled his heart out. And I think that is the really turning point, that Joe Root wicket in the final session that turned this match around.
MP falls prey to chain snatching in Delhi. Loot and scoot in heart of diplomatic zone. Lawmakers also vulnerable to lawlessness. Cops under fire after India Today report. Delhi top cop monitors chain snatching probe. Capital chain snatching shocker. Big focus on 5 Live.
So here's what happened this morning. Congress Member of Parliament R. Sudha on Monday filed a police complaint and alleging that her gold chain was snatched during a morning walk in the national capital, Delhi. But it wasn't just about Delhi, it was where it happened. Serious questions about one, security, safety of women MPs, and in the heart of India's diplomatic high security zone, Chanakya Puri. Let's take a look at this report about what did specifically the MP say and more. A shocking crime in the heart of VVIP Delhi. Early on Monday, Tamil Nadu Congress Member of Parliament R. Sudha was taking her routine morning walk in the upscale diplomatic enclave of Chanakya Puri when a bike-borne miscreant snatched her gold chain. The attack left the Congress MP with scratches in the neck and deeply traumatized.
I hurt here also, and he pulled my shoulder very badly. I came to today morning for a medical repay, and Priyanka Gandhi ji taken me to the hospital here, and Priyanka Gandhi madam taken me to the speaker office. Madam and myself were given complaint.
And ma'am, when this happened, were you shouting? Or did
Yeah, I shouted, please help me, that guy is snatching my chain, please help me.
Chanakya Puri isn't just any neighborhood. It's one of the most secure and posh areas in the capital city, and is also close to the Parliament, India's power corridor.
इस वक्त अगर मैं सामने की देखूं तो ये गेट नंबर 3-4 है, पोलैंड एम्बेसी का ये गेट है, और यहीं पर सुबह के वक्त जो एम सुधा वो मॉर्निंग वॉक कर रही थी। चूंकि एम सुधा तमिलनाडु भवन में रहती है, यहाँ से तमिलनाडु भवन बेहद करीब है, वो यहाँ मॉर्निंग वॉक कर रही थी। तभी सुबह 6 बजे के आसपास जब वो यहाँ पर पहुँचती हैं तो बाइक पर सवार बदमाश आता है एम सुधा जो महिला सांसद है उनके बेहद करीब, और उनके गले में जो गोल्ड चेन होता है वो स्नैच करके मौके से फरार हो जाता है।
The Member of Parliament immediately writing to Union Home Minister Amit Shah, expressing her deep trauma and urging swift action.
Matter of one women MP, this is a matter of safety of women in this country. Accused is going like lethargically is going. He's not in a hurry manner. He may be a habitual offender. Highly security area. How dare he is enter? That much of police security is lacking in that area.
The opposition is raising serious concerns about the safety of women in India's capital city.
Yes, unfortunately, she says that when she approached the vehicle, the police vehicle, that they didn't have much, they didn't respond. So it's obvious that if that's the case with an MP, then ordinary women, when they go through these things, which is an everyday issue that they have to face, especially in cities like Delhi, there's so much violence against women, crime against women. So that attentiveness must be there. And I think everybody across party lines would agree with that.
This incident is a stark reminder that let alone a common man, even the most powerful are vulnerable to the incidents of lawlessness and crime in Delhi. With Aishwarya Paliwal and Arvind Ojha, Bureau Report India Today. In case you're wondering, why is this specific incident being highlighted? Does it not matter if the person whose chain is being snatched is not a VIP? This is as much about women's safety, security, a member of parliament, and in diplomatic zone. And when I say a high-profile diplomatic zone, this is what I mean. Look closely on your screen. We are showing you via this illustration of the map of where the incident happened. The Poland embassy, where it's situated, this is, for those who may know, Chanakyapuri, Shantipad, these are high-profile areas, a diplomatic enclave, which is considered high security zones, but it became a snatching spot with the Poland embassy right behind it where the incident happened. Now, barely 7 kilometers from here is the parliament. That is India's power corridor. On the other side, 5 kilometers, there's Rashtrapati Bhavan as well. Even closer to that is the 7 Lok Kalyan Marg, Prime Minister of the country whose residence is located. 8 kilometers from there is the Supreme Court. And in the zone where this incident of chain snatching has happened are some of the most crucial locations, not just with regard to India, but at international level as well. What does that mean? Why do we say this is the diplomatic power zone in Delhi? All the foreign missions, almost all of them, of a high stature are located in this area in Chanakyapuri. There are international schools. The British School, the American Embassy School, the Sanskriti School are all located in this area. Then there are the luxury hotels, the Ashok, Samrat, the Taj Palace nearby and others too. Remember, in a place where there are all the embassies, foreign missions, high commissions, there are hotels, schools of that nature, and then the residence of members of parliament. And one of the reasons that this Congress member of parliament from Tamil Nadu was taking a morning walk nearby. There are also iconic architecture from Lutyens zone to Chanakyapuri where this diplomatic zone is. And therefore, yes, while there have been incidents of similar theft and chain snatching in other parts of Delhi, when it happens to a woman member of parliament in an otherwise high security zone, it raises a huge issue. Aishwarya Paliwal joins me for the latest on that. Aishwarya, so you spoke to the MP. Tell us about what she has said, because I believe she said she's got injury, she was scared for her life, and now she's written to the Home Minister Amit Shah, literally becoming a political showdown of how the women are not safe in Delhi.
Definitely, Pooja, we are seeing this not just becoming an issue, a big issue about women's safety, but also between the BJP and the Congress, a new flashpoint, because she is a Congress MP. She now is saying that there was no one who came to her help. And she said that it is impossible. Not even in her wildest dreams could she have thought that something like this would have happened in Chanakyapuri, that too to an MP. She said, what I'm really scared for is the women of the women who are staying in the national capital. She said, if this can happen to me, then that means it can happen to anyone else. The other thing, Pooja, let me tell you what she mentioned to me was the fact that that person did not seem scared. The people, the bystanders just froze. No one came to her help. And by the time she could actually dial 100, it was too late. She's hurt. And she also said the first thing she did when she came to the parliament was to get herself treated, and then we are seeing the letter which has obviously been written to the Home Minister.
Tell me more about that, Aishwarya. What has she written to the Home Minister? What has she said? Because while it is as much as an MP as a woman, it is, as you're telling us, Congress versus BJP too.
Well, definitely, she's asking the Home Minister to make sure that the security is tightened, also to make sure that if there is someone who's calling from such a high security zone, then the patrolling vehicle, and she did say that there was a patrolling vehicle close by, but no one came to her help. She's hurt, and she also said that I'm scared for the woman. So that's also something which she has been pointing towards. And she said what she was really scared about in those initial moments was that she could have actually died. She would have fallen down and could have hurt herself fatally. So that's a big worry that she had. And she also said that this is something which needs to be raised on the floor of the parliament. The Congress, Pooja, let me tell you, in days to come can also be picking up this issue and asking the government to respond with regards to the security of women.
Looks like we already have, one by one. These Congress MPs have spoken up, whether it's Imran Masood and others, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra as much. And the reason, for those wondering why she written to the Home Minister Amit Shah, is because in Delhi, the law and order comes under government of the centre. Aishwarya, please stay on with me. Now, here's the fact about Delhi. It is important to mention this and notify, because it is, after all, a Rajdhani. It is the capital city of the country. There have been incidents of reported cases. 6,493 have been snatching cases in different parts of Delhi. There have been theft cases inside a house. Burglary, for example, 29,011. dacoity cases have been at least 29, but there have been cases of robbery, whether it's indoors or on the streets, about 1,510. There have been motor vehicle theft cases as well. You park a vehicle and realize it's gone, 39,976. There have been other theft cases as well, about 1,17,563. I'm quoting, this is the 2024 data of the NCRB. Now, the fact is, remember also that these are reported cases in Delhi, and there's heightened awareness as much among citizens who approach the cops and, of course, go ahead and want to file further complaints. I want to go back to Aishwarya on that. Aishwarya, because it happened right behind the Polish embassy, there have been, of course, political overtones to this as well. But it will be a big assignment for the Delhi police, especially with the additional charge that has come to now the new police commissioner, to be able to not only nab the suspect, this thief, but also ensure law and order, at least in high-profile zones, is up to the level that we can quote to the international platforms.
Well, definitely. Pooja, let me tell you one thing. This is not the first time we are seeing these kind of instances taking place in Chanakyapuri. In fact, Chanakyapuri over the past few months has seen an increase in the number of these kind of cases which have been happening. So this is something that the government will now have to very keenly look at. The Home Ministry, from what I understand from my sources within the BJP, is very keenly looking at it. The police also is trying to make sure that they nab the culprit as soon as possible, because definitely in days to come, we will see this blowing up. In fact, Priyanka Gandhi Vadra also spoke with the MP. The MP said that she has told Priyanka Gandhi Vadra exactly what has happened, and they have also spoken with the Speaker, Om Birla. And they are now trying to make sure that they are given the opportunity to raise this issue on the floor of the parliament.
And let's hope there will be enough evidence, for example, the CCTVs, the human intelligence as well on the ground, eyewitnesses and more, that the police will be able to round up, not just the suspect, the thief, but also to be able to return a gold chain. Thank you very much right now, Aishwarya Paliwal, for the latest on this. It will be, of course, a developing story. More and more reactions are coming in over the course of the day. Let's move on now. I want to take you to Jammu Kashmir. After security forces successfully neutralized 3 terrorists linked to the Pahalgam terror attack on 28 July, but after Operation Mahadev, there's more evidence of recovery that was made. India Today exclusively accessing this report from the security agencies. What was found from this location where the terrorists were neutralized by Indian Armed Forces? Take a look. 3 months since the Pahalgam terror attack. Terrorists neutralized on 28 July. Security forces avenging our civilian deaths in Operation Mahadev. Security agencies have now made a massive revelation, and with evidence recovered from the encounter site. 2 laminated voter ID slips issued by the Election Commission of Pakistan were recovered from the bodies of Suleiman Shah and Abu Hamza. The voter serial numbers found in the electoral rolls in Lahore and Gujranwala. In a further technological breakthrough, a micro SD card recovered from a damaged satellite phone contained the Pakistan National Citizen Registry biometric records of all the 3 men, confirming their Pakistan citizenship. Even wrappers of chocolates of Candyland and Chocomax, both brands produced in Karachi, were found in the belongings. Movement of the terrorists had been traced by the intelligence agencies. That the trio crossed the line of control near Gurez sector way back in May 2022, intercepted in the radio check-ins. The recovered data included fingerprints, facial templates and family tree records and address details in POJK. Analysis of the shell casings found at the Baisaran attack site matched the striation marks on the 3 AK-47 rifles seized from the terrorists. Moreover, mitochondrial profiles extracted from blood found on a torn shirt in Pahalgam were identical to the DNA of the 3 bodies recovered in Dachiga. Security agencies had identified Suleiman Shah as the mastermind of the Pahalgam attack, with Abu Hamza Afghani and Yasir alias Gibran. Home Minister Amit Shah during the monsoon parliament session had confirmed that the terrorists neutralized in Operation Mahadev were linked to the Pahalgam massacre.
सीआरपीएफ के जवान और जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस के जवान मान्यवर एक साथ ये आतंकवादियों को घेरने का काम किया। सेना सीआरपीएफ, जम्मू कश्मीर पुलिस की मीटिंग भी की गई। कुल मिलाकर कल जो ऑपरेशन हुआ, इसमें हमारे निर्दोष नागरिकों को मारने वाले तीनों आतंकी मौत के घाट उतार दिए।
यहाँ पे
22nd April had shocked the country that had resulted in the massacre of 26 civilians, most Hindus. With these findings now, Pakistan's role has been proven beyond doubt in the terror attack. With Manjeet Negi, Bureau Report, India Today. Meanwhile, I have an update coming in from the Kashmir Valley. There's been an ongoing encounter now entering fourth day. This encounter is in Kulgam. Heavy exchange of gunfire and explosives is currently underway. We're not going to reveal any situational details, of course, because the operation is ongoing. What we can confirm to you, what has come to us officially, is that the armed forces say they have neutralized 3 terrorists till now, but firing is on and underway, which means there could be presence of multiple threats. These are, as you can see, dense jungle areas as well, so more troops have been mobilized as well. We are told effective air power will be provided and used to the ground troops. Rudra attack helicopters fitted with 20 mm turret guns have been employed as well, with surveillance drones and to eventually flush out the terrorists. The encounter started Friday evening. 4 soldiers also from our side have sustained injuries in the encounters, but it's a reminder that multiple terrorist presence has been noticed and our armed forces are on the job as always.
आपको मैं एक्सक्लूसिव तस्वीरें दिखाने की कोशिश करूंगा कि यही वो जंगल है जहां पर जो है मुठभेड़ इस टाइम जारी है। आप मेरे पीछे देख सकते हैं, ये जो घनगर्ज की आवाज़ें सुनाई दे रही है और हेलीकॉप्टर जो है इस एरिया की सर्वेलेंस कर रहे हैं। अभी तक इस ऑपरेशन में जो है 3 आतंकवादियों को मार गिराया गया है, जिसमें जो है एक ही का शव जो है वो अभी तक बरामद हुआ है। और सोर्सेज की माने कि वहाँ पर जो है फायरिंग अभी लगातार जारी है, जिसकी वजह से सुरक्षा बल जो है उनको डिफिकल्टीज का सामना पेश करना पड़ रहा है कि बॉडीज को रिट्रीव करने में। तो अभी देखना होगा कि कितने टाइम तक जो है ये ऑपरेशन चल सकता है। और इस ऑपरेशन में अभी तक जो है 3 फौजी जवान जो है वो भी जख्मी हुए हैं, उनको जो है इलाज मुआवजे के लिए अस्पताल मुंतकिल किया गया। तो अब देखना होगा कि कब तक जो है ये एनकाउंटर जारी रह सकता है। तो माना जा रहा है कि ये जो है साउथ कश्मीर का और पूरे कश्मीर का जो है सबसे लंबा ऑपरेशन हो सकता है, क्योंकि चौथे रोज भी जो है ये ऑपरेशन जो है जारी है।
Joining me, my colleague Mir Farid from Srinagar. Farid, good evening. Tell me that because this operation has now been in its 4th day, what is the reason do you think that this operation is being extended? If some of the terrorists have been neutralized, how are the armed forces looking at it? And after Pahalgam, the kind of high alert that we have seen in Kashmir Valley?
Well, Pooja, it's a tough operation. These kind of operations, the security forces have been into from the last 2-3 years, ever since this whole theatre of militancy has moved from urban warfare to jungle warfare. Now, in this case also, a big group of Lashkar has been cornered by the security forces. That's the army, police, CRPF, other agencies deep inside the Akkal forest area. It's day 4. And as I said, it's a dense jungle. This Lashkar cadre is very well trained, equipped, and they are using the jungle setting to their advantage. The security forces are moving cautiously. They do not want casualties. But what's happened new today, Pooja, is the air power that has been unleashed as far as this operation is concerned. Quadcopters fitted with bombs have been used to provide aerial support to the ground troops as they move ahead. To add to that, Rudra, which is a combat or it's an attack helicopter of the army, is being used, fitted with 20 mm turret guns, and they are also helping the ground forces
Farid,
in this operation.
What you're telling us is
new,
interesting. How different do you think this has been from previous operations that you've reported on, and how does that benefit our armed forces?
Well, yes, it is different because we've covered many encounters, but seldom have we seen air power being used to aid ground troops. In this case, since this is a difficult operation, this is a jungle terrain, and as far as the security agencies are concerned, they are moving in cautiously to avoid casualties on their side. But we've been told that deep inside the forest area, they're drawing fire from multiple locations. So that tells you that targets or the terror threat is multiple as far as this forest area is concerned. And that is why air power, that is
what Pakistan has been doing continues to create havoc in J&K and for the rest of India. Stay on with me, Fareed. Here's a reaction coming in from a former Chief Minister of J&K when it comes to terrorism that is in the Kashmir Valley. Militancy has neither ended nor will it end. He says militancy will never end here until the situation of Pakistan improves. Is Farooq Abdullah, a veteran leader, a former Chief Minister, father of incumbent Chief Minister, batting for talks in Pakistan, and why? Why does it matter if Pakistan's situation improves or not? Let's listen in to Dr. Farooq Abdullah.
मिलिटेंसी ना ख़त्म हुई है ना ख़त्म होगी। जो ये समझते हैं कि मिलिटेंसी ख़त्म होगी, मैं उनको दावा देता हूँ इस वक्त कभी मिलिटेंसी यहाँ ख़त्म नहीं होगी जब तक हमारे पड़ोसी और उनके हालात बेहतर होंगे, नहीं होगी।
Fareed continues to be with us. Fareed, you and I know this is not the first time that Farooq Abdullah has made such a statement. But this time, again, he's reiterating what he believes is what I think is about talks with Pakistan, situation for Pakistan. Now, that shouldn't be India's problem about the situation that's unfolding in Pakistan.
Well, Pooja, we know Farooq Abdullah is a maverick politician. This is how he has done his politics. He's operated. I mean, he'll say this today, and tomorrow he'll advocate bombing Pakistan and also really destroying the terror camp. So this is how he has been all these years as he's played his politics. But yes, what in a way he's saying is that either India should have an all-out war with Pakistan to settle this for once and for all, or go to the table and sort out issues. So this is, it seems, what he's trying to suggest. But this is not new. National Conference, PDP have always done soft peddling to satisfy their political constituency, because somewhere they feel that this is the narrative that will help them as far as political gains are concerned. So this is not new. But yes, Farooq Abdullah, again reiterating what he has been saying, but as I said, he is a kind of politician who says something in the morning, he can say something different in the evening. And while he has advocated talks...
Perhaps that's what a veteran politician from the Kashmir Valley really is. He understands what to say and where, but we are waiting for BJP reactions and other political parties as well to respond to that. Appreciate you joining us, Fareed, for the latest on what Dr. Farooq Abdullah has said. Being called as the Millennium City but maximum misery, Gurugram has been sinking. Roads are turning into rivers, literally, and at the time when real estate prices are only soaring higher. Gurugram and its people clearly deserve better. Look at the situation on the ground. It's an India Today campaign. I want to first for you to take a look at the ground report. This is Suyesha Sawant bringing us what exactly Gurugram has become.
Like all of us, he also has his highs and lows. Meet Gurugram, that promised you a view from the 30th floor but didn't quite figure out how you step on the ground when it rains. Gurugram doesn't have roads, it has terrains. Exhibit A. Water, water everywhere. Don't worry, this isn't Venice. Just Sector 44 after one decent rain. Roads here vanish in the rains. At one moment you're on Golf Course Road, at the other you're golfing in the water hole. So you've been living here for how many years?
Yeah, I've been here for post my retirement in October 2020. So you can say around 5 years I've been here in this society. Living in this part of, this is South City 2 of Gurgaon.
So when you were buying a property here, like, you know, how was it projected to you? What life will be like in Gurgaon?
See, we thought we are coming to a swanky millennium city. And where you'll have very clean roads, you'll have all the facilities which any metro can give you. And, you know, safety will be there and all other issues, you know, of retired people will be taken care of. But sadly, last few years, the city has turned into a nightmare. Water logging takes place in all these roads. Roads are broken. And many places footpaths are not made. Even if they are made, they have been encroached upon by grass or wild growth, or people squatters are there. And other thing is red lights. To travel 3 to 4 kilometers in Gurgaon, you have to plan for half an hour.
Oh God, yeah, that
So,
is
really,
menace.
traffic
is really a menace.
Unmanageable,
Yeah.
It is, see potholes, all roads have potholes. Everything is
Potholes,
choked.
my God, I'm scared.
You see the...
Oh God.
Aajo, koi
Oh
nahi.
God, not very safe, but okay.
This all the muck that is on the road now, mud, this become dust. So you'll get a very nice face pack here if you ride your cycle here, because they all will be...
This is where all the skincare products are driving their business from.
Yeah.
Gurugram, once nestled in the Aravalli's foothills, was home to many lakes, bunds and natural drains. The district administration report in 2018 suggests that the city had a total of 640 water bodies in 1956. The number rapidly declined to 251 by 2018. Reality on the ground, sectors 68 to 80 do not have the drainage network, and in sectors 81 to 112 situated near NPR, only 60 to 70% of the area is provided with a drainage network. A 2-hour downpour this week triggered a cascade of tragedies across Gurugram, leaving at least 8 dead. By next morning, roads remained submerged, drains were choked with sludge, and residents' anger rose almost as fast as the flood waters.
What I have seen in past 1 year, a lot of garbage collecting on the roads, on this Aravalli hills. It's really frustrating. If you see any roads like Faridabad Gurgaon road, right? So a lot of garbage have come up around those roads, which was a kind of we all runners used to love on those roads. Now because of these conditions, we are apprehensive.
MCG almost doubled its budget for sanitation from 299 crore rupees in 2021-22 to 565 crore rupees the next year in 2022-23. This allocation went up further to 570 crore rupees in 2023-24, but was severely cut down to 325 crore rupees in 2024-25 as the corporation trimmed its expenditure estimates to what it said were more realistic targets.
Gurgaon is amongst the top 10 cities in India who is paying the highest income tax. 2022-23, we paid 40,000 crores of income tax. That's just the income tax I'm talking about. So money is there. The government has a lot of funds. It's just that they don't have the intent to invest it. Not talking about the contractors. Who are these contractors? Someone is maybe a chacha, someone is maybe a bhaiya to some councillor, to some MLA. They are the ones who are getting the tenders through Sifarish, which we all know. Now, what do you expect them to do? When they are relatives to some or the other leader who is in the party, the ruling party right now, do you expect them to work properly? No, they would not work properly, because how everybody gets work, we know how they get work. Corruption is there. The root cause of each and every problem of Gurgaon today is corruption.
An Impact of India Today reports Chief Minister of Haryana has responded as well, and on the Gurugram specifically with regard to the waterlogging that leads to massive inconvenience, not just to those on the streets driving, but also if you're just inside your house, because this water, remember, entering into people's houses as well, and considering real estate prices have been soaring so high, what is the administration doing about it? Listen in now to the Chief Minister of Haryana, Naib Singh Seth.
राष्ट्रीय मानकों के ऊपर ले जाने का काम हम कर रहे हैं। गति से हमारे अधिकारी भी लगे हुए हैं। बरसात के समय के अंदर जब भारी बरसात आ जाती है, अब अमेरिका तो ये कह रहा, कहा जी मैं सबसे पावरफुल वो हूँ देश, कि वहाँ बरसात पड़ी है, कैलिफोर्निया सिटी मकान तक बह गए। तो जब इतना बरसात आती है तो उसके आगे कोई प्रकृति के आगे नहीं कोई ठहर सकता। तो हमें भी उस बात को समझना चाहिए। ऐसा नहीं है कि जब ज्यादा बरसात आ गई तो ज्यादा बरसात तो नुकसानदेही तो होगी, परंतु व्यवस्था हम ठीक करें।
सर, यहाँ का जो सिस्टम यानी सीवरेज और ड्रेनेज सिस्टम है, वो इतना डाउन का नहीं था कि उसका पानी वो ग्रेविटी से जा सके। उस पानी को पावर आउट किया जाता है। तो पावर आउट करने के लिए जमीन जब वर्षा आती है, भारी वर्षा आती है, तो उसमें समय लगता है। उसमें घंटा लगे, 1.5 लगे, 2 लगे, और ये गुरुग्राम के लोगों को पता भी है। केवल जिन लोगों को आलोचना करनी होती है वो आपके सामने आते हैं। 12 cm यानी 1 फुट 1 फुट पानी 1 घंटे के अंदर आएगा और सब तरफ से इकट्ठा होकर आएगा, लो लाइंग एरिया उसमें रहेगा, जाएगा तो उसको जल्दी निकालना ये एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का काम है। और मुझे लगता है 1-1.5 घंटे से ज्यादा पानी रुकता नहीं।
State of affairs really, one an incumbent chief minister, one a former chief minister, and it appears both are either mentioning what can be done, but importantly shifting blame to other cities. I want to now bring in Preeti Chaudhary, because she was bringing us this report just last week and we are trying to get a follow-up on this. Preeti, I wonder if the comparison to California would be fair as the Chief Minister is making. What do you make of this city? What is it about Gurugram that was being hoisted as this top millennium city is clearly sinking right now?
There are multiple issues, Pooja. Firstly, you have the Chief Minister of a state who goes on and says that it happens in America as well. I think he also seemingly has forgotten that he holds portfolios for urban development, town planning, and these portfolios are with nobody else but Mr. Saini himself. So this is classic passing the buck where it comes down to authority. Secondly, what are the main issues? When you are going to suggest that it happens in other countries like America as well, what are you telling the people of Gurgaon? Constantly they have fought against this very mindset, which is passing the buck. Number one, the biggest issue with the city of Gurgaon is that it is governed municipally by not one but 4 agencies. You have the MCG, you have the MCM, you have the GMDA, you have Huda. All of them just constantly keep passing the buck from one agency to the other and caught as collateral. In midst of all of that are the residents of the city of Gurgaon. I'll give you an example. In terms of just the number of crore of rupees, over 500 crore rupees just for maintenance, just for civic infrastructure. And this is not for new new installations, just repair and garbage and civic infrastructure, maintenance of that. 500 crores is the budget for Gurgaon city, which is quite a bit. Having said that, does this budget even get utilized? Absolutely not. Are there any answers? You go to the MCM, the buck is passed to Huda. You go to Huda, the buck is passed to the to the Gurgaon, to the municipal Gurgaon authority. So, in midst of all of that, that's all that they do. So, ultimately, who's collateral? The people of Gurgaon. You and I both know the prices of it, and I'll give you an example. Just last week, one liquor vend on the golf course road in Gurgaon was sold for 98 crore rupees. You and I both know, in terms of retail space, in terms of residential space, the highest pricing points come in from Gurgaon, where a penthouse on golf course road right now actually retails for not less than 140 crores.
Wow.
So if that is the kind of money people are paying, where is the civic infrastructure to support any of that?
And right outside there is a waterlogged street.
Exactly. You live in your little cocoons of luxury, but you step out, mind my language, but in your own shit, because sewage is running over. And it's not just about, the people who live in these posh house, high rises, if I can use that word. It's about the common man. People have died, in this downpour. So for the authorities, the chief ministers to say that something like this happens in California and we are doing what we can is, I would reckon a little nonchalant for him to use that kind of language. In this very downpour, people have lost their lives because of open drainage. People have lost their lives because of live wires. Gurgaon is an urban
Preeti,
mess
the irony
right now.
here for me is that Gurugram actually was being promoted as California, or specifically LA, as cities. Only not this way, not in this manner, but it appears the Chief Minister has accepted it's waterlogging that primarily where Gurugram looks like California. Thank you very much, Preeti Chaudhary, with all the latest and updates and a perspective on that as well.